Weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. My God will never fail. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. And I'm not backing down from any giant. I know how this story ends. I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good, yeah. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good, yeah. You turn it for good. Take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord.
Yaakov, heel grabber. Second born, second best in the eyes of my father, who gave me nothing. From him I learned to take, to keep, to hold on. I spent my life fighting for what was mine, wrestling. Not with these, but with this. You have something I want. I would outsmart you. I would win. Ask my brother Esau. Birthright, mine. Ask my father Isaac. Blessing, mine. Ask my uncle Laban, flocks, daughters, mine. Ask God. In second thought, ask me. I wrestled the Lord God there on the Yabok, in the darkness. There, he wounded me, crippled me, broke me. And that is how I won. Because when you fight God, winning does not mean breaking. Winning means being broken. There, it changed my name. I was Yaakov, heel grabber. But I became Israel. God fights. You cannot break God. He will break you. And then, only then, He will fight for you. Then you become the blessing to others that you were trying to steal from others.
I've got a very important message that I think that you're going to be excited to hear. The leadership team here at Mag Church has decided to relaunch our services starting Sunday, June 7th. And I'll be the first to say, I can't wait to come back home. We've missed you guys like crazy, and we know that a lot of you have been wondering about this, and now with several of the restrictions being lifted, we feel it possible to come back. Now with that, what I will tell you is that home's going to look a little bit different, and in fact I would say it probably has to. Our goal in relaunching is to try to keep everyone as safe as we possibly can. We want to be found responsible as we relaunch everything. And part of the way that we've chosen to do that is by following the recommendations of the CDC in regards to social distancing, which is why we are having to change our normal service times of 10 a.m. to holding two services, one at 9 a.m. and the other at 11 a.m. The reason for this is because with those guidelines, we can only have 65 people at a time in the services. We also understand that there are going to be some of you that may be in the immune compromised position that can't come back at this time. And we want to encourage you that you can still attend with us online. We're going to have everything set up, and so you will not miss a beat with that as well. We have gotten everything that we need to host online services going forward, and so even if maybe you're feeling a little anxious of coming back, we completely understand that. You will not miss anything. We will still be doing everything that we're doing right now, but you will be sitting inside of service just like us from the comfort of your home. The other thing is, obviously, we won't be able to have kids ministry services during this time, because really the main reason is that we can't achieve proper social distancing when they're back there. The room is just too small for us. And so we as a leadership team have decided to do this in 3 phases. The first phase is a little bit more restrictive in what we do. And we feel that important just so that way as we ease back into this and get everybody there, that you all know that we've taken the proper precautions that are needed. As we get into phase 2, we begin to relax a little bit more. And that's when we start looking at more of our kids ministries and our Wednesday night ministries, things like that. If you want more information on this, because I obviously won't have enough time to really talk about it all right here, you can go to our website at medinaag.org and find all of the things there. On there, we also have a document with all 3 phases and what we plan to do with that. We just want to keep you as informed as we can. The other thing that we need you to do, and really why this message is being given right now, is if you do plan to attend, we're going to need you to register online or calling the office. If you do so online, all you have to do is follow our website to medinaag.org. You'll find a Welcome Home relaunch info. Click on that. It'll take you straight there. Scroll all the way down and just click on the registration button. It'll lead you right there. And please register your entire family with how many that you plan to bring. Like I said, seating is limited at this time simply because of the social distancing measures. But what we are going to do is look at it. If we start seeing that we have a lot more people interested in coming, we may even try to add a couple more services just to accommodate that. But right now, our major concern is the safety of all of you. If you can't do it online, well, we've got you covered too. Just call the offices, talk to Nancy Gardner, and she will put you down on the list. Be thinking about that, because we're so excited for what God is about to do at Mag Church as we relaunch. One other thing I want to let you know is that you can rest assured we're going to have this church completely professionally cleaned and sanitized by a professional company that will be coming in June 6th, right before we gather. So you can rest assured that everything is taken care of and cleaned properly. We can't wait to see you and say welcome home. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, I want to welcome you to our online experience today at Mag Church. I am Adam Allen. I'm the lead pastor here, and we are journeying through a current sermon series that we're doing called Messy Life. And we're looking at the life of a man named Jacob who is struggling with his identity. I wonder how many of us can understand that struggle. You find Jacob running away from his problems. It's nighttime, darkness falls, and Jacob finds himself in an unfamiliar place called Luz. He's exhausted. This is not where he thought he would be, and it's not the way that he thought this would go at all. But yet here he is in the middle of nowhere with a birthright and a blessing. And that's interesting because it looks like at this moment he has nothing at all. Blessing? I don't know if I would call it that. Man, this looks more like a curse. His current situation is as comfortable as the rock that he finds his head on. All Jacob sees is darkness as far as the eye can see, which is probably all he feels too. There is this weird emptiness to getting what he wanted. Have you ever pondered why sometimes winning actually feels like losing? I mean, have you ever pondered sometimes how any good can come from this? Because I guarantee you that's exactly how Jacob is feeling this time. If there's one thing that he's probably thinking is, this is such a mess. Exhaustion gets the best of him, and we find him falling asleep. I think one thing that I find from this is that it's crazy where God shows up, isn't it? We can find ourselves leaning into this story, possibly because it has a tendency to sound very familiar. I mean, how many of us find ourselves, even today, exhausted in the middle of nowhere, dealing with a mess too? If there is one thing that you and I are good at, it's making a mess of things. And this is certainly where Jacob is. Now, where we left Jacob last week, he has tricked his brother into selling him his birthright for a bowl of red stew. Now they agree on this, but Jacob provides Esau not with the red stew that he desired, but with lentil soup, thus forfeiting his birthright for something he didn't even want. I wonder if sometimes our appetites are stronger than our own identity, just craving things that do nothing to help us walk in that identity. Settling for things that we don't really want, which shouldn't really surprise us, should it? Because how do you walk in something that you are unfamiliar with? Maybe a better way to think about this is, how do you walk in peace when all you know is chaos? How do you walk in trust when all that you have ever experienced is betrayal? I think a lot of us have learned to fake it until we make it. We have a habit of faking our happiness, having it together, and we even find ourselves faking our own success. And if there's anything that I can tell you, is that this is absolutely exhausting. Jacob finds himself sitting in front of his father, who is going blind. And what he's trying to do is steal the blessing that was meant for his older brother, Esau. His father grabs his hands, feeling the hairiness of Esau, but yet hearing the voice of Jacob. He's confused and asks, "Who are you?" Because isn't it confusing when you sense someone being something they aren't? How will Jacob respond? That is absolutely the question that we're pondering as we read this. Here is Jacob sitting in Esau's clothes with his arms dressed in the skin of an animal, serving his father's favorite stew that he didn't even make, pondering how to answer this question without giving away his identity. I wonder if really deep inside he desperately wants to answer, "I am Jacob," but knows that he has to be someone else to get what he wants. Which is interesting, because how soul-crushing is that reality, though? That the only way to get the affirmation and love from his father is by his father being blind and by Jacob deciding to be someone other than himself. It's the first time the question is asked by someone else to Jacob. But here's the thing, it won't be the last. Who are you? You see, I can guarantee you that it's not the first time that Jacob has wrestled with this question either. He has wrestled with it time and time again, just like you and I do. The truth is that this is a messy question to answer, because there is always seeming to be a gap between who you are and who you want to be, what we have and what we don't have. And it's in this gap that we struggle with discovering exactly who we are. It's where differing voices flood our mind and challenge us on who we actually are. We wrestle with thoughts like, does anybody actually love me? Am I worth anything? And why are people constantly leaving me? Why do they have that? And why don't I? And see, and if we're not careful, we can end up dressed ridiculously, sitting in front of someone, trying to trick them into giving us something they don't even think we deserve. It's right here that our greatest messes are made, trying to prove the voices wrong. Interesting, because Isaac identified the voice of Jacob, but got tricked by what he felt simply because he couldn't see. I wonder how many times that has happened to us. Hearing the correct voice, but following what we feel. I mean, that's a whole sermon in itself, isn't it? Blessing something that we didn't intend to because we got caught up in how it felt. How much pain accompanies that reality too? You see, what I believe we can learn from Isaac is that we must be careful with what we are blind to, because we could end up blessing something that we never intended to. Which begs the question, how much pain has been added to our lives because we followed what we felt instead of what we could clearly see? But that question may be a little misguided, because I wonder if Isaac was blind way before this event ever happened. Because to me, it seems like God clearly told Rebekah that Jacob would get the blessing even while they were still in her womb. But Isaac seems determined to give it to Esau, who he just favors, even despite what God wants. And that's interesting to me, since the writer of Genesis says that Esau despised his birthright. I mean, why would you place your blessing in the hands of someone who doesn't even seem to care about it? Man, that can be so frustrating too, can it? Watching someone who doesn't even care get chosen for something over and over again. What I can tell you is that you have to be very careful in watching that frustration, because it can be so easy to walk in that frustration instead of the blessing, which I guess is always the choice that we struggle with, huh? Walking in our frustrations or walking in our blessings. Now Esau finds this out probably better than anyone else as he comes back in from hunting. It says that he prepares the stew and he brings it to his father. Esau says to his father as he enters the tent, "Get up and eat so that you can give me my blessing." But Isaac asks him a peculiar question. He asks him, "Who are you?" Which seems more prophetic than just a normal question at this point, doesn't it? I wonder if this really is the first time Esau has ever had to ponder this question. After all, who is he without the thing that made him him? Who is he without the birthright? Who is he without the blessing? I kind of feel bad for Esau, because it seems like at this moment he is doing everything his father has asked of him to receive this blessing. And maybe you know how that feels, doing everything right while someone else steals your blessing and your identity. And we see that Esau is just absolutely devastated by this betrayal of not just his brother, but also his own mother. And with every ounce of pain, Scripture tells us that Esau shakes their dwelling place with this loud and bitter cry, which makes me wonder if Jacob heard it, the cry of Esau. I can only assume that he was nearby. If he was, did that cry sound familiar? As he's standing there wearing Esau's clothes covered in animal hair on his neck and his arms. I wonder if he had this sick feeling in his stomach, realizing that he is responsible for robbing someone of who they are. Because this would now be the burden of Esau, trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces from something stolen from him. In his pain, Esau asks, "What about me?" Which is just gut-wrenching. Esau desperately wants his father to fix this situation, but Isaac, he can't change it, which is hard to understand why, and is something that we wrestle with too, because we tend to want an answer that soothes the pain, sometimes that just makes our suffering worthwhile. But it does teach us an important lesson, doesn't it? That sometimes in life, you will have something happen that is just unfair, and there will be nothing that we can do to change it. It'll change who you are. It'll make you angry. You will want revenge. You will want them to feel what you feel. It'll leave you with a limp, walking with your frustration into your future. You know, I wonder how many of us are walking in the frustration of what has happened to us. And I guess I understand it's so easy to do, taking on the misdoings of what other people have wrecked in our lives. At this point, Esau wants to kill Jacob. Now, Rebekah overhears Esau's plan and asks Isaac to send Jacob away, and he does. Jacob leaves with everything he wanted, but ironically, somehow still feels empty, which is actually what accompanies pretending to be someone else. It may help you get what you want, but it'll always feel empty because it wasn't you that actually accomplished it. And the burden of that is that you will end up spending the rest of your life trying to justify it to yourself and to others. Because if you can't see that you're blessed without someone telling you that you are, how will you ever walk in it when someone doesn't tell you that? You see, it's the trap of verification. When you always need people's affirmation for you to walk in your blessing, you will end up starving when you don't get it. So you will do what you always do, change who you are to be recognized and appreciated. And those words will actually be what your spirit lives on or dies by. I'm actually afraid that we may be producing a whole generation of Jacobs today that are pretending to be something that they're not because they want to be known. They want people to like their comments. They want people to like their videos. They want someone to tell them that they are blessed, and they will do whatever it takes to get it. Honestly, because they are walking around wounded, needing someone to tell them who they are, because the truth is they don't know themselves. So they hide behind the costume of what culture tells them will get them what they want, only to be more empty than they've ever been. Because we are a generation trying to find our identity, questioning, who am I? Because I don't even recognize myself anymore. It feels so empty, doesn't it? Jacob places his head on a rock in the middle of nowhere with darkness all around him, exhausted as he falls asleep. And to our surprise, he is not alone. At the top of the stairway stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your grandfather Abraham and the God of your father Isaac. The ground you are lying on belongs to you, and I am giving it to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be as numerous as the dust of the earth. They will be spread out in all directions, to the west and to the east, to the north and the south. And all the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. What's more, I am with you, and I will protect you wherever you go. One day, I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have finished giving you everything I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I wasn't even aware of it. Meets the deceiver in the middle of nowhere. God meets the person with an identity crisis and lets him know that he is with him and that he will not leave him until he has finished giving him everything that he has promised him. Because the truth is, we are more than what has happened to us. We are more than what we have done to others. You see, I think the statement that surely the Lord is in this place and I wasn't even aware of it has been the biggest problem Jacob has dealt with all of his life. Unaware of God's presence, which made him do what he did. You know what God never mentions to Jacob? His father's blessing. What he actually states is that he is the God of Isaac. That's all. That's all he actually says about Isaac. Something that I pondered this week is if the blessing that Jacob spent his whole life trying to get never actually had the ability to determine his identity in the first place. Because the truth is, only God can actually define that, your identity. This isn't the only time that he has been unaware of God's presence. God has been there the entire time. he just didn't see it. You see, but in order to get your attention, sometimes God has to bring you to the middle of nowhere, completely exhausted from running, so that you can encounter the only one who can actually answer your deepest longing. You see, I am thankful for a God that meets me in the middle of nowhere so that he can lead me somewhere. If Jacob caught it, the part about one day I will bring you back here, right here where he's at, to the middle of nowhere, is that what he means? Yes. Because he knew Jacob would have to go through a breaking before he could ever be used to be God's blessing. But for now, he will gather rocks and make a monument to where God met him. Because sometimes you need a reminder of when God met you where you least expected it for the next time. Because it's proof that when the voices get too loud, when you lose who you are and the darkness takes over, that God still shows up where no one else does to let you know that he is still with you. May we grow exhausted with the constant nature of trying to be something or someone that we are not. May we open our eyes to God's presence all around us, and may we not walk in the bitterness of what has or hasn't happened to us, but understand that those things do not define us. They are not what I answer to. I don't have to be Esau to be blessed. You can be you. I need you to soften my heart and break me apart. I need you to pierce through the dark and cleanse every part of me. All I what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love